think this is question 5 for my opening title sequence evaluation, which is, looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to the full product? I just want to say quickly that this did not render very well, so the recusancy lines, I apologize, they look a bit weird, but yeah. Okay, so some of the things that I learnt about from my preliminary task when doing this main task is how to use a tripod. Now this is something I've mentioned often because it really was a brand new thing for me. Being able to learn how to adjust the height properly and make sure it worked well with the things like the forest floor and the unexpected unevenness of it, and having to adjust it every time I moved it was different from the preliminary task where I had a desk chair, which you didn't have to do that much adjusting for because it was just a chair, and the most you could do with it was change the height and spin it around a little bit, and which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I wasn't at a disadvantage because I was doing really tight frames and stuff, so it was okay. But in terms of practicality, the fact that I had to go on a train to film on location, the fact that I was filming on a forest and going around the house filming, it wouldn't have been ideal to use a desk chair again for my main task. So yeah, I ruled that out pretty fast and decided to learn how to, well, not decided, but ended up learning how to use a tripod, which was very valuable information. Another thing I learnt about was using Premiere as editing software, because I used iMovie in my preliminary task, and things I found out with Premiere are that there were many different advantages that it had over iMovie, which was the ability to use multiple effects on one clip or shot that you've taken, so that you can make it more accurate to what you envision. You have more control, again giving you more potential to reach the sort of standard you want it to be in, and the higher quality of exporting. Overall, I think it was the more control I had over specific points and parts of it all that really helped me create what I wanted to envision as much as I could. For first time, obviously it wasn't perfect. I think I'm still happy I used iMovie in my preliminary task because it was a very good starting point in terms of using editing software, and practice with that sort of gave me a good insight into how to edit basically, and learning about all the special effects and things I think was just an added part of reaching the potential I wanted my opening title sequence to come to. Another thing I learned, which I think is a very valuable lesson, is that a simple idea can be just as effective as a really cool, high potential, ambitious idea. I had a lot I wanted to do with this, and sometimes it kind of went a bit over the time frame that I needed it to be, so I had to keep cutting it down to certain points, and it was just, I couldn't fit the whole story into one thing, and I had to, but it was an opening so I wasn't supposed to, but I was thinking about what the viewer was gonna think, how they were gonna understand certain parts and aspects, and yeah, I just looked back at my preliminary task at the end of this and realized I don't need to make it so fancy and amazing and things like that. If I just had a really nice, simple idea and I conveyed it well, people probably appreciate that and maybe even enjoy it. And yeah, so simple is just as good. I also learned a lot about some little tips in terms of filming that can just help you make that experience just a bit easier for yourself, such as framing can make all the difference. It can make it could change the quality of your the outcome of your product. Focusing, again, clarity just makes it just makes the whole thing look a lot better, and I had to manually do that myself, so it was obviously a bit harder and of course misplacing your glasses makes it harder to focus, but yeah, I'll work on that. Taking multiple shots of stuff was really helpful when it comes to filming, because if any mistakes happen, you've got a selection, a variety to choose from. I also had to think about the lighting change as I was going from outside to inside, and I had to shoot on different days and things like that. So that was definitely something I have to consider when filming. Forest floor, yep, unevenness, tripod adjustment, things like that. And yeah, things like that really had to be thought about, which in my preliminary task were probably less of a problem because I was filming inside as opposed to filming outside and inside in different locations, different times of day. Yeah, so priorities became different because of the different ideas I delivered in the task. Of course, yeah, your atmosphere will change how you film something. I didn't have necessarily enough time to say, oh, it's a good day to film, because yeah, I had a frame to film and edit this in. And yeah, I think I learned a lot of stuff overall that were very useful, and hopefully I'll be able to portray later. If you want to go to the next video, you can click on the screen right now, but if you just really feel like going back in time, you can click somewhere and that will probably take you there. Thank you very much. Bye!